A very good afternoon to all of you from Dharma College. And we have with us today Dr. Kathleen Lyon. And it is with great pleasure that we have a chance to get to know her a little bit. So, for those of you who are interested in taking her class this term, which is very exciting, we have a new class on Buddhist psychology. It is an opportunity for you to get to know Kathleen. So I'm going to ask her a few questions today that are lighthearted and maybe a little bit serious too about how she came into Dharma College. So, Kathleen, what do you like to do outside of teaching, and what are some of your hobbies?
Well, outside of teaching and working, I really enjoy the environment that I'm living in now, which is in the woods and the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania. And right across the street from my house is one of the best hiking trails in the state. And we have a couple of dogs, and I love to go out into the woods with them and hike and let them splash around in the streams and whatnot, and just enjoy the outdoors. It's a great change of pace from thinking and talking.
Wow, wonderful. I love to hear that you're so close to beautiful nature. Could you tell us one thing about you that might surprise your students? A fun fact that maybe your students might not know about you that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, I think people don't get the impression of me as a very physical person, because of course it's very intellectual, the kind of work I do, and of course teaching is very intellectual. But um, I've always been a pretty active person, pretty physical, and lately I've been doing a lot of weightlifting and been a bit of a gym rat. So
Wow.
it's a different side of me that they certainly wouldn't see during class.
That is a fun fact, Kathleen. I did not know that. That's so exciting. Well, now on to some more serious questions. How did you get involved with Dharma? Like, what was the journey that brought you into Dharma and then subsequently into Dharma College? But really, what was your journey to meeting the Dharma?
Well, like a lot of people, I think it was a big kind of wake up call in my life. I'd always been kind of spiritually interested and tended that way. Um, I was raised as an Episcopalian, but didn't really practice and go to church after I was out of the house. Um, and became a scientist and physician and all of that. And my mind was really oriented towards that. Um, and then, quite shockingly, my first husband died at age 39. And that really, shook the foundation of the assumptions one has about life, right? The unrecognized assumptions about the way things are and the way things are supposed to be. So, I had already been somewhat curious about Buddhism, reading some of the things that psychoanalytic and therapeutic practitioners had written that were sort of straddling things. And so I really started to get into it much more directly at that point, and found it really, of course, dealt with those basic questions of life that, great spiritual traditions do.
Wonderful. And you're going to be teaching a class this term on Buddhist psychology. Can
Mhm.
you, this is so exciting. We've never had a class like this at Dharma College, but can you share what you think this is merging your professional background in psychology with Buddhism and Dharma? Can you share us a little bit about what a student might learn or take away, and what might be inspiring about someone interested in this class?
Well, I think one of the things that people in Western culture um, have been greatly influenced by, in a way that they probably don't even fully recognize, is the Freudian tradition of thinking about the mind. There's a lot of just in the normal culture about repression and, neurosis and these sorts of words and terms. And the way we think about the mind is really very influenced by that. Understandably, over the last 100 years, it's been a very important piece of the way people have learned about their minds, been treated, been in therapy and whatnot. Um, and I think it's very helpful to sort of bring out those concepts, make them explicit, and help the student then to see what methods and ways of working with the mind follow from those premises, and to compare it and contrast it with the Buddhist view of the mind and what the methods are that bring to bear from the Buddhist perspective on the mind. And there's a lot of similarities, but there are also important differences. And people who come into then Buddhist practice, as I did, right, not only from a Western perspective, but for me, very steeped in a certain kind of psychodynamic, psychoanalytic perspective, unwittingly bring a lot of assumptions about the way Buddhist practice will help them, and some of which are helpful and some of which are not. So I think it'll be really useful to sort of lay that out really explicitly at the beginning of a Dharma college student's path so that they can have this in mind as they begin to engage more complex classwork.
Wonderful. Well, how exciting. This class is going to be offered this term, this upcoming term, so do stay tuned in for that. Now, what advice would you give to someone who's just starting out their journey at Dharma College? Would you, because you've just joined Dharma College a couple years back, and how would you encourage a new student to enter into Dharma College? What would their pathway look like from your perspective?
Well, there are a number now of 100 level courses, and I think that they're there in order to give a person a chance to sample a few different teachers, a few different books, different approaches, maybe something that's more practice oriented, maybe something that's a little bit more content oriented, to try a couple of those. And maybe based off of those, if there's more curiosity, to delve into a couple of books that might be part of some of the upper level courses, just to sort of taste them a little bit. I found with Tartang Tolku's writing, which I discovered decades ago, that it can be very exciting, but also it helps to have a context, a teacher, a class discussion to be able to really unpack it, because it's very profound and deceptively simple sometimes, really actually quite complex, and there's a lot in there. So you can't really just pick up a couple of books and sort of see how it's going to go, but trying a couple classes, I think, will really be a good way to get started.
Thank you, Kathleen. Now, finally, this is a fun question. If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh my gosh, superpower.
And think big.
Hmm. Well, when I was a kid, I used to think that if I could read people's minds, that would be really great. The more I've gotten to know people, I'm not so sure that's always the best thing. Um, a superpower. I'd love to be able to fly. I think that would be fun. I think that would be really
Oh,
fun.
oh.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time, Kathleen. It's been such a delight to meet you over this very short getting to know our faculty. If any student is interested in taking her class, she does have her email attached to this video, so feel free to reach out to Kathleen. I'm so interested in taking this class. I'm even curious about maybe dropping in. Uh,
Mm,
because it just seems like it's going to be just a fantastic way to learn about these two very important disciplines and to
mhm.
merge them together and to bring that into our lives in a meaningful way. Thank you, Kathleen, for your time and for your service and in your teaching. And anyone who gets to take a class with Kathleen is really lucky. It's a privilege to have her with us at Dharma College. Thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you.
See you soon. Thank you.